So it's been a while since I released my Microsoft Flight Simulator PC build video, and it's important to remember that that was made before the simulator was released. That's why today I'll be showing you how I think I've made the best mid-range gaming PC for Microsoft Flight Simulator. Stay tuned, you don't want to miss this one. Hello YouTube, I'm Pilot Stud and welcome back to another video. It's been a long time since I've talked in front of my camera, so it's nice to be back here. If you're new here, be sure to hit that subscribe button. I do flight training videos, flight sim videos, trip reports and a lot more, so if you love everything about aviation, you've certainly come to the right place. Now today, my video is on my gaming PC and the upgrades I've made to it since I last did my PC build video. There's been quite a few drastic changes, such as the graphics card, but we'll get into that later. I think this is the best PC build that you can build for a quite good price for Microsoft Flight Simulator and be able to run on high, some ultra, and some medium settings. It's all about personal preference, guys, but now let's get into this video. Okay, so before we talk about the upgrades I've made recently over the last 3-4 months, let's talk about the original PC I built. Now, quite a few of these parts I carried over, such as the CPU, motherboard, and storage and PSU, and I've put a Ryzen 5 3600 in there, which is a fantastic CPU, very versatile and certainly does the job. Motherboard was an MSI B450 Pro Gaming Max, which was on the cheaper side for this type of motherboard, but it is very good. I believe it's a Mini ATX. My PSU was a Corsair 500 watt PSU. It's not modular, sadly, so there is quite a few hanging wires in my case. And I also carried over a 2TB hard drive from my last PC. 2012, so it's an old hard drive, which is now why I've invested in a newer SSD. Now, this PC was good and it did do the job with Microsoft Flight Simulator up to a certain degree, meant I could run comfortably on medium settings. The graphics card I had in this PC was a GTX 970, which was a 4GB VRAM graphics card made in late 2014, I believe, and it was recommended by Microsoft. However, I personally don't really recommend it if you want your game to run smoothly, because while it did do the job, there was times where it couldn't run at all. And this is why I invested in a new graphics card. Now on the screen now you can see me unboxing the RX 5600 XT, which is also a mid-range graphics card, but a lot better than the GTX 970 I think. It's got 6GB of VRAM, which certainly is used well by Microsoft Flight Simulator. This graphics card has really revolutionised the way I play with Microsoft Flight Simulator, or fly on the simulator, because it is really powerful. It's got a fantastic price to performance ratio, and I'll be getting into my budget later on. Now, this graphics card was really fun. I really do enjoy it. It's a fantastic bit of kit. Goes for around 250, 200, up to £300 on the internet, depending on where you look, and it is a fantastic graphics card. The version I've got is the power cooler one, which I believe is the less respectable one, but I don't really see the difference between brands. I know some people do, but personally I don't really. Now, I'm not an AMD or Intel fanboy. I don't really have a preference, although in this system my PC is certainly on Team Red, but that is basically just the way this one's gone. RAM wise, I had 16GB of DDR4 RAM in my system before I upgraded, and this was at 2666 MHz, and I was fooled here. I was attracted by the cheap price of, I believe, £75, and I certainly paid the price for it. Microsoft Flight Simulator doesn't react well to this type of RAM. It would appear that it was very stuttery and quite unplayable, especially when coming into big airports like Heathrow and Paris Charles de Gaulle, which is exactly why right today I upgraded my RAM. I bought 32GB of DDR4 RAM at 3200 MHz. Both of these were the Corsair Vengeance LTX edition, and they both do the job very well. At 2666 MHz, just didn't perform very well. I was pulled in by the low price. Don't make this mistake, guys. Microsoft Flight Simulator doesn't react well to it. And I guess this is because loading in all that scenery does require quite a bit of RAM. So when I'm testing on my system at the moment, Microsoft Flight Simulator uses, wait for it, 19GB of RAM, which is quite annoying bearing in mind I had 16 before this. So some of you might say that 32GB is overkill, but I really don't think it is. I think it does the job perfectly. You could go 24, but even then, you're possibly cutting it short, depending on what aircraft and scenery we get in the future. And also, RAM speed is quite important. I definitely saw a massive performance boost by about 20-10 FPS just by using new RAM. So it was either the size of the RAM or the speed of the RAM that played a part, or both. But I highly recommend you go 32GB at a high enough speed if you can afford it. Now, comparing my systems FPS wise, while I haven't got a direct comparison, because that is quite difficult for me to do just to swap systems right now. Comparing it with older videos on my channel, I can tell you with my old system before all of these upgrades, I was getting a good 30-40 FPS around the board. And now I'm getting anywhere from 40 to 60, dropping down to 30 in heavy areas with my new system. Now 60 FPS isn't needed for Microsoft Flight Simulator, I'm not saying it is, but it is nice to have. 30 or even 25 FPS normally does the job. However, it's important to remember I've changed my settings. Most of my settings now are on high or ultra, and my PC can certainly handle it, even in the A320 flying over London. Over London I get 30, 40, even 50 FPS in all aircraft. It certainly does the job. And even on the ground at Heathrow in the A320 I get 40 FPS. My old PC couldn't handle this, I've got to admit. So there we go, there's the performance comparison of my old and new system. I say old system, but it was just a system without the upgraded graphics card and RAM. Budget wise, I set out for my budget to be £500, and I did go over budget because of the RAM basically and the graphics card. It cost me around £650. However, if you shop around, you can get it for around £600 or even less, I'd imagine. My new system with the 32GB of RAM, the AMD RX 5600 XT, certainly does a better job than with 16GB of RAM and the GTX 970. May I make a recommendation when building computers with Microsoft Flight Simulator? It is incredibly tempting to go with the lower price point, however my lesson is don't. It's not really worth it. I've had to upgrade my RAM and my graphics card because I went for slightly cheaper options. Although in my defense with the graphics card, Microsoft did recommend it as their recommended graphics card, so I'm not too sure what they were talking about here. It does the job, but not to a great level. You certainly can't have a smooth experience across the board. So there's my PC update. I think this is the best budget PC for Microsoft Flight Simulator. If you agree with me or even disagree with me, put it in the comments down below. So thanks for watching this PC build video. I really hope you guys enjoyed it. I certainly enjoy making it. I'd like to say a massive thank you to all of you. YouTube has been wonderful for me. I enjoy every second of it, and it wouldn't be possible without you guys. So a massive thank you to you all. Thanks to all my captains as always. If you'd like to find out how to become a captain, go onto my Discord, the link is in the description. I'm going to wrap this video up here guys. All the links to all the items used in this PC build are in the description. Happy flying, bye bye.